Namaste. Welcome everyone to a new episode of Organiser Life. Today we are going to talk to Mr. Vijay Kranti, who is a very famous photographer, a photojournalist who has been documenting a lot of history about our country, especially focused on Jammu and Kashmir. Today's exhibition is focused on Akhnoor and Ambara, which was an excavated site by B.R. Mani, who found out a lot of evidences about Buddhist history and Buddhism in that place. So we are going to talk to Mr. Kranti and find out a lot more about it and delve into this issue about the historical evidences and our civilizational roots in Jammu. Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Welcome to Organize a Life. Uh, Tell us a bit about how you started working on this project and what did you witness when you went to Ambara?
My relation with Ambara is mainly as a photographer. I'm a writer, journalist, and photographer, and my photography interest started with my freelancing writing of my very early days around 1970, 71, 72. When I would send my news features to newspapers, they would like the writing, but it would keep waiting because of a matching photograph. So then I realized that there should be a photo along with my feature. So I didn't have my own camera. I started borrowing a camera of one of my very kind friends, Balbir Sharma, who was my neighbor, and he was very kind. He would lend it to me. I'll just buy a film and then go work on my feature. And I could understand very easily which visual will suit my write up. So that is how I started, and then later on, in one of my stories, when I interviewed His Holiness Dalai Lama in 1972, and I had to take many pictures of the people in Dharamsala, that I got interested in taking photography seriously, and that was the time I realized that photography is equally good for me as a writer. And then that was the time I discovered that Tibet is a very good subject for photography also, besides as a journalist. And their culture is very rich, very colorful, a lot of variety. And that is how I started. And then slowly I got interested in culture, anthropology, history of other places. And because my own roots are from Jammu Kashmir.
Please tell us a bit about these routes that you're talking about.
Yes, let me first complete in short. So, it was my interest in Jammu Kashmir when I started identifying those issues which were not very popular or which deserved attention. So, Ambara is one of them because uh, my late friend Mr. Madan Lal Sharma, who was a member of parliament from Akhnoor. So, Ambara is in his area. So, he would tell me a few times that तो विजय जी हमारे यहाँ बहुत खूबसूरत जगह है, हिस्टोरिकल जगह है, पर कोई ध्यान नहीं देता है, तो why don't you come one day and see it? So I went with him, and then I discovered this site was very interesting. It was small, but a lot of history lying around everywhere. So then I did serious photography of Ambara. I made a few visits. The archive findings of that area I photographed. The artifacts which were taken out by the archaeologists, they were very interesting. So I took pictures of when I shoot these small objects, they have to be of very high quality. So I did that, and later on, it was my friend Madan Sharma ji's interest that I organized a small photo show in Ashoka Hotel in Delhi, where Dalai Lama was giving a teaching. And because it is on Buddhism, so Dalai Lama ji agreed to come and see. So when he came to see, at that time, I invited Dr. B.R. Mani, who is currently the Director General of National Museum, and he was Additional Director General of Archaeology Department, the Archaeological Survey of India, and in 1999 as Superintendent of the Srinagar, that area. So he had excavated this area.
This area, okay.
And because he knew it, so I requested him that why don't you come and explain to Dalai Lama ji the significance, because I could not have done that justice. So he also liked it. So he had a very good interaction with His Holiness Dalai Lama, and Dalai Lama ji enjoyed it. And when he explained the significance of Ambara to Dalai Lama ji, then Dalai Lama ji made a very interesting comment. He said, if what you are talking is there is evidence, then I think the historians should seriously revisit the history, and maybe they will have to rewrite some chapters of history of Buddhism because of Ambara. So that encouraged me to take more interest. And of course, Dalai Lama ji, on my request, he went to Ambara also and he visited it. It was a great show. And after that, I have been thinking that their Ambara deserves more attention. So recently, it's a very happy coincidence that Madanji's son, Satish Sharma ji, he was elected as MLA in last elections from Jammu Kashmir, Jammu region. And he is now a minister there as an independent. So when I discussed with him, he was thrilled, he was excited, and he said, Vijay ji, let us do something which brings Ambara really on the tourist map, on the Buddhist map. So then we decided to do it a little larger and a serious show. This show is a result of that kind of exchange. Yeah.
So why do you think it's being called that Ambara is the citadel of the Buddhist civilization?
I think uh, Buddhism and Jammu Kashmir had a very, very deep relation, because in history Buddhism is about 3000 years old now. No, yeah, around that. And mm, Ambara, now the archaeological evidence shows that Ambara was active uh, more than 2000 years ago, which means this era is very close to Lord Buddha's time.
Okay.
And Jammu Kashmir has been a very great center of Buddhism. Some of the biggest, most prominent teachers of Buddhism, they from Jammu Kashmir, they studied, and some of them went to Tibet to spread or to give teachings of Buddhism, and the credit goes to Guru Padmasambhav, uh, whose main activity area was Jammu Kashmir. And secondly, the archaeologists have in their findings found that the location of Ambara, which is on the right bank of Chenab river, uh, the original name of this river is Chandrabhaga, Asikini, in old literature. So the archaeologists have this opinion that this place was not only a very active Buddhist center, it was a very important one also. And it was on the way from Nalanda to Takshila. Nalanda is in Bihar, in
Yes.
east, and Takshila is now in Pakistan.
Yes.
So this distance, I don't know whether it is more than 3000 or 3000 kilometers. So this point lies on that route, which makes it historically more significant. And then I think because Ambara has given a few very interesting things to archaeology, word archaeology. In 1936, uh, Charles Fabry, who was a Hungarian, he was art critic and Indologist. So he became curator of Ladakh of Lahore Museum. So when he went there, he found a mound of terracotta heads and other things which were beautiful, very good, very interesting, but there was no documentation and nobody knew where it came from. Leave aside where, the history behind it. So he got excited and he started looking for the source. And he traveled also in Jammu Kashmir, and finally in 1939, I think, he came to this area, Ambara. And there in the fields, he found out many artifacts of terracotta. And then he stumbled on some of terracotta heads which were identical to what he had in Lahore Museum. So
Okay.
which finally established that here is
Yes,
this
they
is the
must
right
do.
source.
Yes, yes.
So then Ambara came to
And
um,
focus.
importance. So the terracotta heads which he collected are today in some of the best museums across the world and very prized possession of those museums. Leave aside the Jammu Museum, Chandigarh Museum, National Museum, Delhi and Lahore. In London, some museums and some other museums, they have these terracotta heads. And terracotta heads, the word itself became very popular because of Ambara.
Okay. Okay. Uh, I would like to tell our audience that Dr. B.R. Mani came into national attention when he supervised the Ram Janmabhoomi site excavation in Ayodhya. Sir, please tell us your association with Dr. Mani in a more detailed way. Like, he has been part of these very important excavations. Like you said, he was part of the excavation work, the project in Ambara. So, like, how was it interacting with him? What was he talking about? Our history, the importance of these excavations happening, and telling us a lot more about our roots, about the civilizational importance of these places, and how students and even mainstream dialogue would be able to connect the dots.
One thing uh, I would say that this class or community of archaeologists they have not received that much respect in India, which they deserved and which otherwise the same community gets in many other countries, especially in the West. Our archaeologists have done such a remarkable work. They are you see their dedication, the hard work they do. They travel to such difficult areas and live in very difficult primitive conditions. Even if there is a very good city around, modern city, but they go for excavation, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers away in ruins where they don't have even space, for a toilet. But they live there for days and months together, do digging, and it's not digging, very quick digging. It's a very delicate, like an artwork. They do it and they spend, months and months to discover one nice thing. So they have not received that attention. I wish they would have. So that's why if you see my exhibition, the main uh, the intro poster which I have put is I have dedicated this exhibition to the archaeologists of India. And Dr. B.R. Mani, he represents that community, very well. He himself is a very acclaimed archaeologist. His studies are remarkable. His studies, his findings have given a new direction to, at least two or three generations of archaeologists of India. And these findings have, helped uh, people to understand history in a much better way. And one example, as you just now mentioned, one example is the Ram Janmabhoomi, Ram Mandir. When he was invited by the Supreme Court and uh, the whole that to give a better and scientific understanding of perspective, without any political or other bias. So as a scientist, yeah. So he played that role, and that was very helpful in reaching a logical and justifiable conclusion. So one can understand the role of archaeologists in that. And I met him personally in 2011 when I was about working on Ambara. And there, when I went there, then I came to know that Dr. B.R. Mani is the person who excavated this area in 1999 2000. And then I came to know that he is in Delhi. So when I came back, I contacted him and got some information from him more to understand and to write about it. So that was my first interaction with him. And then when I had my photo exhibition at the Ashoka Hotel in New Delhi, and His Holiness Dalai Lama agreed to come there. So that was time when I requested Dr. Mani to please come personally and explain, because he was the right person to do that. So it was a, for Dr. Mani, it was a great, good experience of, talking to His Holiness Dalai Lama personally. And I still have some pictures when His Holiness Dalai Lama was so impressed by Dr. Mani that he held his hand and walked around with the whole exhibition through with Dr. Mani. And Dr. Mani went on explaining, and that's when he he told His Holiness that the historical significance. Then His Holiness immediately agreed to visit. And in that meeting we had Satish Sharma ji also present. The moment he found that point that His Holiness is looking positive. So he was a very accomplished politician and a good statesman and a wonderful human being, and very good at understanding the meaning of a moment, the significance of a moment. He immediately jumped in कि दलाई लामा जी, आपको ये अच्छा लगा है, ये जगह आपको लग रहा है महत्वपूर्ण है, तो आप अपने चरण क्यों नहीं वहाँ डालते. So, and I was, I have known His Holiness Dalai Lama for more than 50 years. Very, very closely I have interactions with him. And the way His Holiness explained that he was interested, and the way he immediately instructed his secretary to note down, I am going there, yeah? Note down. So,
We'll go back a little. You said your father was from Pakistan occupied,
and my mother.
and your mother both your parents were from Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir. So tell us a little about life over there, their life over there, how they came here, what were the difficulties they faced, and your childhood. Tell us a little bit about.
For ordinary people, it is a very simple refugee story. They were living in Jammu Kashmir, and then the political situations was very unfortunate. Pakistan attacked that area to occupy it and took the help of tribals also. Many times people are used to writing it was a tribal attack and the Pakistan army joined. No, it was a Pakistani army attack to occupy in Kashmir, Jammu Kashmir, and where they knew the use of those Islamic or Muslim tribals. So they
So
were
the tribals means the Kabulis.
no, not Kabuli. No, they were local.
The locals.
The
Okay.
others.
Okay.
There were many tribes.
Okay. Okay.
So Pakistan, because they were Pakistan was a result of a Islamic kind
Yes.
of ideology and those aspirations. So they knew very well that who are the best tools.
To
So
destabilize the.
so they uh, scouted around and recruited the tribal leaders and told them Islam khatre mein hai, tum aa jao. And then so they were also interested because they will loot people, get money, enjoy killing or whatever, rape or those things. So that's how the tribals joined Pakistani army. It was a Pakistani army attack. My father, as a child, I used to listen in details because he had seen everything.
Sir, what did your father do there?
My father was his father was a, a merchant. We are Mahajans from Jammu Kashmir, and my grandfather was a wonderful man. You know, he was a man with so many talents. He was a good businessman. He ran a shop. He was a great Hakim who had solutions for so many things, very quick and wonderful. And he was very popular Hakim. Then, very interesting, he was a great storyteller. So he was invited by villages around to tell stories, and he had very interesting style to tell stories. So as a storyteller, he was popular. And the remarkable thing which I was impressed was he was a great scholar of Quran. So many villages around his village, he belonged to the Panjan village of that area, Mirpur area. So in Panjan village, around that village, other villages would book him in advance कि शाहजी आपने इस बार आपने हमारे गांव आना है, you come to our village and give preaching on Quran in simple language. So he was so popular. But it's unfortunate, in 1931, it was Sheikh Abdullah, who maybe he had his own political compulsions and he had his reasons to score over the existing established Muslim leadership. So he gave a call of cleansing the rural Jammu Kashmir of the infidels, of kafirs, of Hindus, Sikhs. So it was a huge, horrible massacre. In 1931, my grandmother still remembered always when she was alive, she would say, Athasina Shorash, means Thasiana Shoras, she would say. Thasia means 1988. 1988 Vikrami Sambat, which when you translate 57 years, it comes to 1931. Huh? So in 1931, Shorash means massacre. So she remembered that. So then the family shifted to Mirpur, and from Mirpur again, when this Pakistan attacked, then they had to migrate again. So my father became refugee second time in their life in 1948, and when Pakistan attacked, and unfortunately from Indian side there was no support till last day. So my father told me that there were 42,000 Hindus and Sikhs who had gathered from all over areas, from Kotli, from many areas around Mirpur, who had gathered there for security. But the Indian government sent no, or Kashmiri Maharaja sent no support there. Maharaja's police, either they had defected to Pakistan or they ran away from there to Jammu side. So this left them like that. My father said that there were 42,000 people inside Mirpur when Pakistan attacked, and only 18,000 came alive out, which means 24,000 people are either killed or kidnapped. And my father's younger sister, the most beautiful child of the family, we don't know what happened to her. So then he came to Jammu, and unfortunately, the government in Jammu, local government, was not very keen to support them. So they were practically kicked out again. कि हमारे पास कुछ नहीं है, we don't have to support you, go to Delhi, the Indian government is giving support. So my father and their family were kicked out third time. So they became refugee third time, but then they had nothing to lose further. They didn't have anything except to lose their identity and self-pride. So they lost the identity but not self-pride. So when my father, when this Article 370 was removed, 35A was removed and it was amended, my father died only 50 days before that. Until that day, he was hoping that Modi government will, Modi kuch karega, he would ask me. These were the only words he could speak. And
Like he had so much of He's holding on to that hope.
His only demand was, I don't want money. You accept me as a child of my motherland.
Yeah. Yes. I think that is what.
Yeah. So which was denied to him by both by the Jammu Kashmir government and by the central government. The Jammu Kashmir government was not at all ready to help, for they had so many reasons.
Yeah.
People only count the religious reason, but there were so many reasons, political reasons also. They, there are today the total number of people like me is a few lakhs. People say it's somewhere between 7-8 lakh to 15 lakh who have no identity.
And Jammu has always been sidelined. Means the discussion is always focused on Kashmir. Jammu, people know a lot less about Jammu. Like, tell us a little bit about how it has been sidelined.
There were many political reasons that all the money which used to go from Delhi, over the years, there were many interest groups, vested interest groups which had developed in Jammu Kashmir. And one group was the political leadership of Kashmir. The others were the bureaucrats and the police, local, those action groups, whether it is Hurriyat or whosoever, who want everything to be concentrated in their hands. So the money would flow from Delhi and will vanish into pockets of various kinds. People, there are people who blame only politicians. No, the money was, plundered by the bureaucrats there, by the police, by other social organizations, NGOs, etc. So
But
in
even
the process, Jammu got ignored.
ignored. But what I'm talking about is that all these problems that were happening in Jammu, the media also did not talk too much about Jammu. They were the the boiling pot was always Kashmir. Kashmir was the most sensational, was more sensationalized.
There I would say I'm a journalist, hardcore journalist. I have had my innings of 55 years in journalism, very active journalism. And I can say, unfortunately, a large section of Indian journalist community is illiterate. Number one, they they don't try to get the full picture, to study the whole picture. They don't have the patience, no desire. So the result is not only Kashmir. When you go and see these issues like Sardar Sarovar Dam and many of those issues, people just don't want to. Media could never think of a whole picture of any issue, including Jammu Kashmir. So they would only write about things which were sensational, which were easy to get. There were so many interest groups who are ready to give their type of side of story to help to build a specific narrative.
Especially when you talk about Jammu and the excavation happened at Ambara. Like you all found out from your studies and you're from photography, and there's so much of information that there is this very large Buddhist um, you know site over there. So in the discussion, the history about Buddhism completely got lost.
That is actually that issue is a basic larger one. Ambara is only a part of that issue, but Ambara is a good example of that problem.
Yes.
And now, luckily, we discover.
Like like you do feel that the Buddhist heritage was ignored. It was largely ignored.
Yeah, because at one stage Buddhism was the main culture of and especially Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir. I will say Kashmir. So, and you had some of the best, the greatest saints and uh, learned people of Buddhism there. Um, but that happened everywhere.
So then how did Ambara come to, how did Ambara come to the focus after this? Like, what brought the focus on Ambara?
One is the greatest development after 1936, 39, when Charles Fabry found out that Ambara was the place of this those terracotta heads. And after that, in 1999 and 2000, when Dr. B.R. Mani went out for this excavation and discovered, then at that time, that was the time when they went very deep under the surface and they could even dig out so many rooms, meditation chambers, under the normal ground level, and they have still preserved them. Only thing is, after studying them properly, photographing, documenting, they filled it with sand.
Okay.
Otherwise, they will get destroyed. So, for future, the archaeologists do it very systematically. So, they have covered that entire those structures with sand, so that in future, whenever you want, you have the right situation, they can be recovered and rehabilitated in the way which is possible. But right now, there is atmosphere, media is alert, ordinary people are alert, experts now, whatever they find, it reaches out to masses. So a place like Ambara now becomes important automatically. And if a person like me can organize a huge photo show here, that shows that there is interest. And when if National Museum invites a photographer like me to organize this show, it's an honor for me. But I look at it less as an honor for my work, more as an evidence of increasing interest in our culture, our
Yes, our
history.
history. Sir, आपने वहाँ पे ऐसा कुछ देखा that left a really strong impact on you? You have, because you have also visited that place.
Oh, I've been there a few times. What impressed me was, although now a lot of things are lying underground, covered with, protected with sand filling, but those things which are visible on the top, you are amazed to see the quality of those bricks. So my father, being a civil engineer, would tell me many things. And one thing he would tell me about how the ordinary mitti, you know, when you bake it, it becomes so strong that it will never deteriorate. Wood or iron will in over years
They will decompose.
yeah, they decompose and take change shape. But this terracotta, the bricks, they don't. And he told me that is why we use bricks rather than other things to build house. And when I saw these bricks, I was amazed the quality of bricks, because
Okay.
I have seen when we built house, the kind of bricks we buy, the quality we see many times is very low quality. But the quality of these bricks, even you go today and see the best of brick kilns in India will cannot produce such high quality. And just as a photographer, when I see the color, the reddish brown color, my God, it's really looks like a very new thing. And then the shape of bricks, the standardized size of bricks shows that people are
Very good in that.
And when I photographed those small objects, if you see in my exhibition, there are jewelry pieces, and you see a pearl. There is a hole in a very very small pearl. Imagine the technology of drilling a hole in a very small pearl.
And it existed back
It
then.
existed at that
Back
time.
then.
That shows.
How advanced they were.
Yes, they were. And the copper, those small vessels and caskets, which I saw in their collection, I photographed them. It was amazing. So that only shows that technology Today we think we are technologically very advanced. Yes, we are in certain area, but today we can create so many things because we have everything available. Computer is
Yes, we
available,
have
the
machines and
machines are available, chemistry is available. You can compose. You can sit on a table, and there you can compose new materials on the just by using your computer formulas and systems. You can. Those people didn't have that, and they would when you see and you just see a few figureheads.
yes,
My God, just see the fashion, the way their hair are, organized,
yes.
the hairdos and
Mm.
मजा आ जाता है देखकर
जी जी
कि
जी
those people had a taste.
yes yes.
Well, if they could do it in a figurehead,
Imagine what they were doing it in on
how would they do it
themselves.
on
Yes.
themselves? So these are amazing.
Yeah.
Once you go there, even a photographer, illiterate person like me would become a fan of the level of
Sir, I
information.
should think you should not call yourself illiterate. You've written three books on the Buddhist culture of India and the Tibetan culture in India and in both India and China. So when you were writing or documenting and you were researching and you were getting to know a lot of things. So what is the difference do you find in the Tibetan culture, that the Buddhist culture of India, and the cultures that you found in China. So, what are the similarities or differences?
As far as Tibet, China, India is concerned, or the culture side, the Buddhism side, one basic fact is, which is really wonderful, which is worth noting, that all Buddhist literature which is there in Tibet, and it is huge one, really. I don't think even if today when I meet, I am dealing with my Tibetan friends for last 53 years, and I've been visiting their monasteries, their handicraft centers, their fine arts, etc. I've been documenting them, and I am amazed to see the amount of literature they have produced. I don't think in the whole world, if you measure by uh, arithmetically, the average number of books and literature per head, I think Tibetans will leave the second best very, very far behind. They have so much of literature, and this entire literature uh, is in Tibetan language, and most of it is translated from Sanskrit. And the beauty is, when a few hundred years ago, when the Tibetans decided their script, they came to Nalanda. When they wanted to write the Buddhist, all teachings and Buddha's, teaching and comments on all those things, they had a choice to do it from China's literature or from India. Going to China was very easy, very simple. You can, on a horse, you can straight away go anywhere, no problem. And coming to India was crossing the Himalayas, and very difficult. And the king at that time decided to not, in, for Buddhism, not to take Chinese literature, Buddhist literature as source. He decided we will have Sanskrit as source. His reason was because Sanskrit is the original. Pali and what Buddha spoke, and the learned teachers after him wrote, was original in India. So they decided that this literature from India is the original one. So it is better to translate from Indian to Buddhism, or from Chinese, because Chinese literature is translated from India to Chinese, and then,
Yeah.
because they believe that this third hand will be not authentic.
Yeah. Sir,
So that is why you will find the entire literature, 100% of literature in Tibet is the Indian literature.
okay. Sir, there is Ambara in Akhnoor. What else is there in Akhnoor? It's such a beautiful place.
He- I was talking to my friend Satish Sharma. Satish Sharma ji, who is the minister, very young man. You know, for me, he's a boy. And I could see his enthusiasm. When I was talking to him, he said, Vijay ji, हमारा अंबारा तो कमाल है हमारे पास history है अंबारा they have Akhnoor fort which is a great source for Harappa civilizations linked to Harappa. Akhnoor fort is there. She said we have Chandrabhaga, the Chenab river, which is most peaceful and most beautiful in entire journey is only in that area. Then he says we have Jiyapota temple and ghat, the place where Maharaja Gulab Singh was, Maharaja Hari Singh was. His coronation took place by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. And then he says, no, we have Ambara. Then the other is now the world's highest railway bridge is in Akhnoor. So he says Akhnoor has, tons of exclusive things.
Exclusive. In fact, the touristy places are always told to be Behelgam and Gulmarg and all these places. But I think the focus needs to needs to go on these places that are unexplored and people should get to know more about.
This is a very interesting issue. I rather looking at it as a competition between Gulmarg and Akhnoor. I see that Jammu Kashmir is now richer with many more new things.
Yes.
And Akhnoor is becoming important. And the tourists are also, they also want new variety. So for that, Akhnoor is a very good choice. And then there are other places. There are so many places in Jammu which are worth it. But one place which I am working on for last about 5-6 years is Basoli.
Okay.
Basoli is the last village of Jammu Kashmir. Last I am saying in the direction, where Basoli is Basoli town. Its last tip is on the Ravi River.
Okay.
And across is, on one side is Himachal, the other side is Punjab.
Okay.
So Basoli is practically tri-junction of Jammu Kashmir, Punjab and Himachal.
Gee.
And this was the place, the mother of Kangra painting.
Okay.
The original
The miniature
painting was in Basoli. From here it went, but because of some historical reasons, it practically died there over the last 70 years. Basoli was a great Ayurvedic center of North India. Okay. Then Basoli was very, very famous for Pashmina, hand-woven Pashmina. There was a kilometer long street which was almost practically Pashmina shops where traders from far places would come and buy Pashmina and sell in the rest of India. So that was already almost dead. But now they are revising it. For last about a decade, they have done very good work. So I am documenting that revival process.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yes.
Sir, tell us a little bit how Mr. Omar Abdullah is now cooperating with, with the cultural exploration of all these places. Ambara, Akhnoor, like how cooperative is he?
One thing I would say that I am not an expert on the Jammu Kashmir politics. I am not. And I really cannot be the right commentator about those. But few basic things which I understand as an old man, as a journalist, is I find Mr. Omar Abdullah is quite different from the other politicians, the previous generations. He appears to me more practical. You will see, since he came to power, even before that, he he is not a, he doesn't appear to be confrontationist.
Okay.
And because one reason is that he wants his Jammu Kashmir, especially Kashmir,
To flourish.
to flourish, because Kashmir has lost a lot. You know, Jammu still, because it was peaceful, it could get a lot of industry and other thing. But Kashmir was a great loser because of violence of all these years and restlessness. And so I think to me, he appears to be a young visionary. He who has understood that if he is in a confrontationist mode, like we had in Delhi, Mr. Kejriwal, or we have Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal. Uh, he, his government is exactly of that in that group, no? Not same as the center. But you will find he is not adopting a confrontationist stand. To me, it appears it shows his wisdom and his vision
Okay.
about his state. Because confrontation will not get anything. It, it generates news, but news is not finally, the real. It
Yes.
doesn't make
You need
GDP.
development of a
It
place.
doesn't bring GDP. It doesn't bring happiness to people. It doesn't bring, jobs to the people. It doesn't bring prosperity or development. It only creates news.
Yes.
So in Kashmir, the forces have been people who are powerful, who were influential. They were only manufacturing news, and this guy understands. So you will see he doesn't make such statements, and you find he is getting very good response from the center, and he is getting a very positive image as Chief Minister of Jammu Kashmir among people of India who otherwise had strong reservations about the government of Jammu and Kashmir. So he has achieved it, and I personally find that he is going to make a difference. And then he has colleagues like Satish Sharma, who is much younger than him and who is equally enthusiastic. So these kind of combinations are going to make places like Akhnoor uh, and
Besot.
Basoli and so many other things, they are going to gain because of this.
Sir, these kind of exhibitions are very important, and our students should be, witnessing these, because it will give it is this is like a window to our past, to our history, to our civilizational roots. So, how do you think schools can actually, maximize on these kind of shows? Like, is the education department doing anything to, to kind of to encourage schools to get students for such shows?
You, I agree with you that the you know s- we at the student age is the right place to be sensitized about our history, about our culture, about our own standing in the international family. And for that, knowledge of history, knowledge of culture is very, very important, basic.
Yes.
Without that, we cannot do that.
Yeah.
So there is a plan. National Museum has this plan, and as a journalist, I have seen many industries have plans. Even private industry, like those the cold drinks company or Mother Dairy or Amul, they invite schools children to come and see. But I feel
Hmm.
that institutions like National Museum
Yes.
should get more attention what they are getting.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Maybe through
there are some
exchange programs and.
there are some good schools who bring their children here. I was talking to my grandson when I told him, he came to help me in when we were putting up this show. He came to help me. He was with me full day, and then he was I. We, we asked him, "Are you coming here first time?" No, no. I've been here with my school.
Sir, what happens with the younger generation is that since, especially children of refugees and children whose parents were driven out of their ancestral places, they are left with a lot of generational trauma. And parents do not tell them about their roots because they want to kind of safeguard their children from that kind of trauma. So this leaves the children in a very confused state, like how we saw the protagonist in Kashmir Files.
Yes.
So it's very important that especially children of NRIs, they are growing up and they seem to not be they are not able to make the connect or link their ancestral the like they find it difficult to believe their parents when the parents say, हमारे पास ऐसा घर था, हम वहाँ पे रहते थे, वहाँ ऐसा होता था. And they think that, this is not, this can't be true. So, how does one make that link? Like, I think these exhibitions are are very significant in that way also, to show people or children who have moved out of the country, whose parents moved out of the country, that this is our past, and these are the shows that make them reclaim their roots, at least in their minds, that no, this is our past. And also to make them feel that maybe we should go back
Yes,
and
yes, yeah,
see.
yeah. This is a very important issue which confronts number one, the NRIs who are settled abroad, and it confronts those families who are, who have been displaced or refugees. For example, my family. There, this is a serious issue.
And also own your past or your identity with pride. They should own their past and their identity with pride. This is from where I was.
This is a major problem with those families who are settled abroad.
Abroad. They are a little confused.
There again, it is basically, it reflects the level of wisdom of the parents. I know families who are who have integrated very successfully, very well with those cultures, but they are very proud of their own identity.
Also,
You know?
yes.
I lived in Germany for 3 years as a radio journalist, and there I could see it. There are two types of families, whether Indians or Pakistanis, who one is who wanted the children to learn the German language and behave like Germans, uh, and forget your own language. But in the process, what happened? Their children uh, very successfully forgot their own identity.
Yeah.
Very successfully lost their own language and culture.
Yes.
But they could never make themselves acceptable to the locals.
Exactly.
So, which was a double failure for those
Yeah.
families. Some people feel very proud. ओ हमारे बच्चों को तो जी हिंदी नहीं आती है, जर्मन बहुत अच्छी बोलता है. So, is it something to be proud of? But later on, when the level of acceptance they find in those societies is different, they don't want to accept you as their own, you know. So that I think it is simply the level of wisdom of the parents which needs to be attended to.
Sir, when you kind of take pictures, these are in different kind of climates. Also, the light is in. How do you ensure that the best quality of images make the cut, like make it to the exhibition? What are the challenges you face?
Yeah, actually, for a photographer, this is the greatest challenge, that you have to take a picture irrespective of the weather of that time, the lighting conditions of that time, and but your viewer should get the real genuine image of that object or of that place. So that is a challenge. A part of it, you can meet this challenge by accommodating yourself. One is, as a photographer, now I understand what is the right time to shoot a landscape, and then what are the right conditions to shoot, objects like the small objects, what we call tabletop, or those the small objects which you can move around and shoot them in a controlled condition. That we have to be careful. And if, number one, if I can choose that, I should scout first of that area. That is very essential, which will give me an idea the direction of sun at different times, and then I choose in my mind the best time to come. So that helps. And there are some situations where you can't help. There is a mela happening. They are not going to come again.
Yeah.
If there is a light condition,
That
which
you
is
have to do
different.
candid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there are too much of clouds, if it is raining, so all this you have to. So there are situations which we can control by selecting time and then going to that place at that right time. But when there is no control, then you have to be smart and take the best advantage of it. Luckily, now the technology of Photoshop is available, which helps the photographer in a very, very big way to bypass those disadvantages of being there at the wrong time.
Okay.
It helps.
Yes.
But that you have to do very intelligently. So that helps. And for equipment, we have to be very, very careful. Maintenance of the equipment. When I'm shooting a small thing, and if, for example, if I have to have a terracotta head, or you know anything, then I have to take care of the right focus and my composition. But that is any photographer's challenge which we have to do. And one thing which I discovered, that photography uh, is a very expensive uh, hobby or a profession, where in which the photographer must invest in a good equipment, but at the same time be more equipped with the knowledge of photography.
Yeah.
When we work, when we put attention on that, then there are so many disadvantages which we can overcome. Even with a cheaper camera, you can get a very good picture. So, any of that is interesting.
Thank you, sir. This has been a very, very interesting conversation. For our viewers, I would like to say that this exhibition is on at National Museum till the 9th of May. So please come and take a look at it, and you will really love it. There's plenty to learn, there's plenty to see, and there's plenty to reflect on. So thank you, sir, for talking
Thank
to
you.
us.